sometimes things do get lost in the shuffle. One of those, another Supreme Court ruling from this term that limits the power of the Environmental Protection Agency, which is raising concerns over the very real threat that climate change brings us. Climate scientist Dr. Deborah Brosnan, who's also president and founder of Deborah Brosnan and Associates, is up late with me tonight on the Final Five to discuss. Thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about the ruling that came down last week that essentially takes the issue of climate change and throws it into a territory that is very unclear as to when it comes to the EPA's ability to enforce it.
Absolutely. This is a major decision by the Supreme Court because what it says in essence is that the EPA was looking to regulate greenhouse gas emissions, carbon from coal-fired plants, existing coal-fired plants. And the Supreme Court said, wait a second, the EPA is overstepping its mark. And it's really not just regulating these emissions as pollutants, but rather making major economic policy. But more than that, it said that in the development of the Clean Air Act, which was in 1970, that Congress never really mandated these kind of pollutants. So Congress should be making these kind of decisions and not the EPA. And this is a huge ruling because it's going to affect so many other aspects of regulation and laws.
So as somebody who studies the science of climate change, why do you believe we just haven't seen some sort of government action? Why hasn't Congress followed that? They could have mandated these changes before. Now they're learning from the Supreme Court that you basically start at the starting point here.
Yes, the Supreme Court has said to Congress, do your job, in essence, and step up to the plate here. But I think the reason we haven't seen it is for several reasons. First, Congress is very divided right now, and getting consensus on anything is extremely difficult, as we all know. And it's been that way for a number of years. The second is that climate change is very complex. It really is very complex. It affects all aspects of our lives, transportation, how we get our energy, people's clean air, people's clean water. So coming up with laws that will get everybody on board can be particularly difficult, but not impossible.
Now comes the idea and the concept of maybe corporate American corporations, taking the football and doing something with it. And we have seen a lot of rhetoric from many of America's corporations when it comes to the idea of going green, when it comes to clean energy, when it comes to sustainability. Are we seeing any action from that front on the private sector, or does this more or less give them carte blanche to do whatever they want?
Well, I think this will give certain companies the idea that they can step away from some of these carbon and greenhouse gas emissions from a regulatory perspective. Not necessarily from court of public opinion, because shareholders and stakeholders are making decisions based on how companies treat the environment, treat climate change. So that is still very much there. From a perspective of investing in greenhouse gas emissions or disclosing greenhouse gas emissions, we are seeing more and more companies doing the best they can to start to figure out how to assess their risks, their climate risks, how to assess their greenhouse gas emissions, and how best to report them, and then what to do about them. So we are seeing more companies do that, but it's not universal. It's not across the board. I think this ruling will make certain companies step back. The other thing I think this ruling will do is the SEC, as you may know, came out a few months ago and came out with a proposal to say, look, public companies, you're going to need to disclose your climate risks. And that is supposed to be turned into policy after a certain review period. Based on the Supreme Court ruling, certain conservative groups and certain companies are saying, wait a second, the SEC is not regulating financial risk, which is its job, but maybe now it's trying to regulate the environment itself. And I think we will start to see some challenges to that based on the Supreme Court ruling.
When we talk about companies and corporations getting involved in embarking on these initiatives, you hear people from certain political corners saying this is just about virtue signaling. This is just about for lack of a better term, going woke these days. But I think by and large, when you look at the science, this is a very real concern for so many of us in the world. So how do you put on a face as a company? How do you make the world know that this is a real endeavor that you're embarking upon and that your concerns are just?
I think the most important way is transparency, because that is probably the most important way to build trust. and to build trust in what you're actually doing. So first of all, transparency. And a company needs to step back and do an accurate assessment of where are its environmental impacts, where are its climate risks, and disclose those to the public, and then point out exactly what steps they will take to reduce those impacts, by when, and using milestones. And also be very clear, if a company feels it cannot address certain aspects, certain greenhouse gas emissions, they've got to be upfront and clear in that as well. And that, I think, will start to build more trust with the public, and that in turn then will encourage companies to do the right thing.
Dr. Deborah Brosnan, appreciate the perspective on this issue tonight. Thanks for joining us.